Hey, Shalom, Yasha Allah, Shema Yasha Allah, Allah Yanawa Yahweh. What I'm going to do now is going to go into some more historical facts. We're going to go into the Bible, which is a history book of the Hebrews. We're going to go into a book by Leonardo da Vinci. We're going to have a look at the life of Cesare Borgia. We're going to have a look at this book, Machiavelli. And we're going to look at some ancient icons. And we're going to go in and we're going to prove without the shadow of a doubt that the one that you refer to as Jesus Christ, Yeshua, was a so-called black man. And even now, in 2016, according to their calendar, you got to ask yourself why. Or those that's actually in charge, those that are actually in authority of the media and so on and so forth, are still making damn movies with a white so-called Jesus. You know, something that they actually depicted and created, falsely created after the Renaissance, because that is not the image of the one that you refer to as Christ according to the Bible. So why are you still teaching lies? And then when a Hebrew stands up from our ranks and tell the world the truth, you declare him as a so-called racist. So we're going to go in these books, we're going to look at some ancient artifacts, we're going to look at a couple icons, and we're going to look at the Bible, and we're going to prove without the shadow of a doubt that the one that you so-called blacks have been worshiping in your churches is a false, is a fake, is an imposter, and is guilty of identity theft. You're going to find out that a man by the name of Leonardo da Vinci painted the false image of this new Christ, of this new Jesus that you have a tendency to worship after the Renaissance, which essentially means rebirth. Because prior to the Renaissance, we was ruling from around 193 AD to about 1453, when our empire finally began to crumble towards, the destruction of Constantinople. But we still ruled for a while, even after that, some parts of Russia and other parts of Europe. But the blow of death came in 1453 with the fall and the taking of Constantinople by the damn Turks. And history proves that everywhere that Ashur has Edomites have actually been on this earth has been bloodbaths and bloodshed. Then you go to people's land and you take control of their land. And you don't want videos like this is actually exposing the truth. You take control of their land, and then you kick the people, the original people, out of their land, and you enforce your so-called policies and fake laws. And then you try and demand that people get a damn green card to come back to their own land, when this is not your land. You're not indigenous to this land. It's my ancestors that are indigenous to this land. And just as this land was actually taken from our forefathers, this land is actually going to be taken back according to the Bible, according to prophecy, and so shall it be. So to all of you, and the best thing that you Edomites and those you actually so-called European people could actually do, that has a tidbit of righteousness and truth in your heart, is to expose the wickedness of what your people have done. And when I say your people, not all of them, because there was some of you that actually fought on the side of indigenous people and fought for the right of indigenous people, because the Heavenly Father put that spirit on you. But to those of you that want to continue to promote lies, deception, deceit, you're coming down. Because thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And the will of the Heavenly Father is going to be done. So with that being said, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, I want you to get close up on this. I'm going to ask the audience, those of you that's actually watching in the audience, do you recognize this man? Have you seen this man, and get a close-up on this, have you seen this man coming into your neighborhood selling newspapers or anything like that? Do you recognize this man? I'm sure many of you do. You've seen him on the so-called black church walls. See, this man, his true name is actually Cesare Borgia, which I'm going to prove according to ancient artifacts painted by another deceit for no good, dirty, scandalous liar by the name of Leonardo da Vinci. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his own works and use it against him to expose truth. Now this man that you see right here that posed for this fake image of the one that you refer to as Jesus Christ, that our people are worshiping and wondering why the damn prayers of the slaves would never answer, because you was worshiping an idol, because you was worshiping a fake. This man name is Cesare Borgia. He was born September 1476 in Roman Italy, and he died around 12 March 1507. You know, and it was said that, you know, the cause of death was war. He was a so-called Roman Catholic Edomite, referred to himself as a European. But that's another story. His sexual orientation was incestuous. You know, he had sex with his sister Latricia Borgia. He had her husband murdered so he could have sex with her. He murdered his own brother. And he was infamous for his murderous tactics, as was the entire Borgia family. This man was the second illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome by the name of Rodrigo Borgia. Now I want you to get a good look at him. That's what he looks like there when he posed for the image of the fake Christ, you know, during the Renaissance. And this is what he looks like originally. This is the dude, Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia. Now, here is another image of this man posing as Christ, painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Now, Leonardo, after the Renaissance, painted this man as a fake image of Christ. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some ancient artifacts, and I want you to get a close-up on this. We're going to put this down, and we're going to look at this sister right here. I want you to get a close-up. The first, I'm going to read what I have here. It says this is Saint Anne. Now, in Hebrew, the word would be Hannah. You know, Hannah, meaning favor or grace. Now, she was of the house of David line. She came out of David's seed, and she was the mother of the Virgin Mary, according to Christian tradition. And you trace it back to Hebrew tradition, because the Christians was first called, the Hebrews and the Jews was first called Christians in Antioch, which is really Upper Syria. So her name is Anne in Greek. The Greek. Anne is the Greek rendering of the Hebrew word Hannah. And this is the mother of Virgin Mary. Now, I want you to get a close-up on this. That's Hannah, just this right over here. Saint Hannah and her husband. Now, if she's a so-called black woman, as dark as she is, now how in the hell is her son going to come out looking like that image that I showed you of Cesare Borgia? Because this is the Virgin Mother's mother. Now, if she looked like this, then the Virgin Mary down show had to be a so-called black woman if the father was a so-called black man, which he was, because he was out of the Hebrew seed line. So, now, here's a picture of her daughter, Mary, and a depiction of the toddler that you refer to as Jesus Christ. So, knowing thus, and these are ancient icons, why in the hell is white America still portraying Yeshua, whichever Hebrew terminology that you're actually using, Lashawam HaKadash, or the modern Hebrew, Yeshua, as a so-called white man, when the Bible that they get it from clearly displays him as a so-called black man. When you read it and get understanding, and in these icons, he's displayed as a so-called black man. Now I'm going to show you another depiction of the young Christ right here. This is the icon, ancient icon of Yahweh or Yeshua, the one you refer to as Jesus Christ, as a young boy. And with that, I'm going to read Revelations 1, verse 13 through 14. I want you to focus in on, let me get an image. Do I have another image of Yahweh Shah? I don't have an image of him right now. The image that I generally use, so I'll turn to this. Because this is a depiction of what he actually would look like. And it reads, Book of Revelations 1 verse 13, in the midst of 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. So John the Revelator is having a vision, and he's saying he saw one like unto the Son of Man. Now he had to know what the Son of Man, meaning the one that you refer to as Jesus Christ, looked like, in order to compare him to anything. Now he said he was clothed in a garment down to the foot, just like I have on. This reached down to my foot with fringes on it. He's clothed just like this, with a garment down to the foot and a grit about the paps with a golden girdle. So he had a girdle on, like you see a lot of those Israelite men wearing around their waist out there when they encamp. His head and his hairs was white like wool. Now I'm going to show you this image right here, and I'm going to show you this one. Now which one has hair white and woolly? His is long and stringy like seaweed. No offense to those of you that have that texture of hair. This one is white and woolly. So this fits the scriptures. As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. His eyes was red because he drank a little wine. That's why they refer to him in the scriptures as a wine bottle. So what we're going to do now, we're going to see if that's repeated in the scriptures anywhere. And we're going to go over to the book of Daniel, and we're going to have a look at Daniel chapter 10, verse 5, to further prove this. We're gonna get Daniel 10, verse 5, and see what this has to say. And it says, Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins was girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning. He has a striking look, and his eyes as lamps of fire. Right, as he drank a little wine, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and the voice of many multitudes. So, according to what we're reading, the Christ will look like that. He will look like that. And not like what they've actually depicted. He will look like that. Yahweh Shah would not look like that, but he will look like that, according to what we read. Now, where's all these lies coming from? Now, I'll show you what happened. Now, during the time of the Renaissance, again, which actually means rebirth, a man by the name of Leonardo da Vinci, he got together with this man, Cesare Borgia, who actually ended up killing his best friend. Cesare Borgia ended up killing the best friend of Leonardo da Vinci, and da Vinci was actually told to depart company with him because the man was murderous, and he had no morals. He didn't do things on morals and principle. So now we're going to have a look at Revelations, the 13th chapter, and we're going to read verse, we're going to start at verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Yeah, Esau has conquered all nations. And he set up this white Jesus, this fake white Jesus in every nation that he goes. And they're still putting it out in the movies to this day. This is known as programming. This is known as psychological engineering, and someone actually has to stand up and fight against it. Let's read a little more. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. The vast majority of people on the earth are what? So-called Christians. And what are they worshiping? They're worshiping this image. They're worshiping this image of Cesare Borgia. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name are not written in the book of life of the Lamb. So to all of you that worship this man, all of you that worship this, which is the image of the beast according to the scriptures, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it in the kingdom according to this Bible. And I don't have to interpret nothing. I'm just reading it verbatim. We move over to the 15th verse, Revelation 13, verse 15. And it says, he had power to give life unto the image. So he painted this thing, and he brought it to life and said that it's this. He said it was Jesus Christ. He painted this thing, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. And the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This happened in 1492 when these murderous bastards came here and murdered my forefathers and ancestors in what you refer to as America, as a Maxim, the Northwest Gate. All of the people that you refer to as Native Americans or Indians, you put to death that wouldn't worship this image. So, fulfilling the scriptures again. So, all of them that didn't worship it was murdered, just like the scriptures said. Now we're going to go over to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 5, and see if we could get anything else out of that. Book of Matthew 24, verse 5, and it reads, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Now who comes in the name saying that they're Christ and has deceived many? Christians. Christian, Christ. Christianity came from the word Christ, which your people started, which Edomites started. Now let's get 2 Corinthians 11, verse 4, because it seems like to me you're worshiping another Jesus. See, you should be worshiping this one, but you're worshiping this one. And his name is not Jesus. His name is Jehovah. You should be worshiping this one. So we're going to get 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, verse 4, and it says, for if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus, Esau came preaching this. He told our people to worship this, and if you don't, you're going to be put to death. For if he that cometh preaches another Jesus, or if you receive another spirit, because this is the spirit of the Antichrist, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted, ye may bear with him. So as soon as you took on this image and started worshiping this, what did you get, brothers and sisters? You got death. I'm going to get one more scriptures. 2 Thessalonians, verse 4. Chapter 2, verse 4. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, and is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself he is God. So he set this image up as the Most High. He said that this is Jesus Christ. Then he tells you that Jesus Christ is God. So he's telling you that you're worshiping God when you worship this image right here, which is the image of the beast. See that? Deceit. Lies. And we got here Byzantine Empire. This is the Byzantine when we was ruling. This is what it really looked like. And you can see right here, they started, kind of tampering with the way that the man looked. Right here, that's the image that I showed you right there. This is an icon, an ancient icon from the Byzantine Empire. This is what it looks like closely up. See, I got a close up. That's the image of a young Yahweh, or what you refer to as a young Jesus Christ. There he is. Now, during the Renaissance, from 1400 to 1700s and onward, this is the image they came out with. Now look how they changed it from that to that. This dude looked like something from a damn Archie and Jerry comic book. Now how's his hair going to go from that to that? And he's going to go from that to that. Does this look like anything that I read to you in the scriptures? No, it does not. No, it does not. But this is how you've been deceived. And so, get a close up on this. This is one of Borgia's friends, Prince Machiavelli. Now this is who Tupac was rapping about in his songs, but he didn't know the true history on this stuff. You know, not to denounce the brother, but he didn't know the true history of this dude, because this man depicted his whole rulership off of Cesare Borgia, because he was a bloody, wicked ruler. So he inspired the writing of this prince. So in another a book that you would be interested in reading, get a close-up on this, is Life of Cesare Borgia. You can see that this was a bloody, murderous, warmongering family. And before I close out, I'm going to go into, this is an art book. A lot of paintings and, Leonardo da Vinci's work. And a lot of you so-called blacks, you're not going to go out and invest this money into this. You'd rather spend it on a damn game, Xbox, or a Sony game or something. So this is Leonardo da Vinci by D.M. Phil. And I'm going to go in this book, and we're going to see. See, the first thing I want to show you is his fake depiction of the Last Supper, 1482. See, these are the lies. Get a close-up on that. And that thing in the middle, in the very middle there, is supposed to be Yahweh. It's supposed to be Jesus Christ, but it's a lie, according to what I brought out through the spirit of Yahweh. Why Yahweh? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to page 290. And who do you see in here? On page 290, get a close-up on that bastard right there. Now this is Leonardo da Vinci's writings. And I'm going to read something what they have here. It says, Cesare Borgia. Caesar is traditionally seen as the most villainous member of a villainous family. Talking about the Borgia family. I'm not making anything up. I got it highlighted and I'm reading it verbatim. The murder of his brother and of the husband of his sisters, Lucrezia, with whom he was said to have incestuous relations, an illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI. He was associated throughout his relatively short career with the empire-building schemes of his father, for which he was the chief instrument. His father made him a cardinal in 1493, when he was about 16. But he left the church in 1498 in order to enter politics, get married, and succeed his murdered elder brother. And that bastard murdered him so he could take the throne as general of the papal forces. King Louis XII made him Duke of Valentinos, hence the name by which he was commonly known in Italy, Second Valentino. Nevertheless, as a contemporary describes them, his method encompassed murder, bribery, force, every kind of corruption. Murder he regarded as a legitimate weapon, but one to be used sparingly, when he might have said that the ends justify the means. And read a little more. It says, should be committed by a subordinate whom could afterwards be blamed for the crime. So this bastard say you should get someone to commit the murder for you, and then you blame him for committing the crime. A damn demon. And you're going to get this man to pose as Yahweh? He was widely admired in Italy, no least by Machiavelli, that I just showed you in that other book, for whom he provided the model for the prince, that book that I showed you. So the lies is actually exposed. So I'm going to read you a little bit more. It says, in Florence sent as envoys to Caesar Borgia, a man was actually destined to become a friend and association with Leonardo. So see, Cesare Borgia, he made it, his intent to become friends with Leonardo so he could do paintings and stuff for him like this. This was another great genius of the Renaissance, Niccolo Machiavelli, from 1469 to 1427. The Prince, a work of what used to be appropriately called political science, is cruelly realistic design to demonstrate how a ruler might preserve both his own authority and the material well-being of the ruled. It has been described as the first objective study of mankind the study of the Passion conducted and disproportionately as well. So brothers and sisters, with that, I trust that you've gathered something out of this. As you can see, you've been worshiping the wrong image.